inside the walls of the 25-year leader in classic and custom boat restorations. Watch as the meticulous craftsmen use the most advanced materials and processes in the industry to restore, repair, and build some of the most beautiful boats on the water, including their own Metan Classic Collection.
Hi folks, I'm Mike Borrelli. Here at Metan, we custom build classic style vessels and perform restorations on boats we refer to as the family heirloom. We also take on fiberglass repairs sent to us from across the country with the client's confidence that vessel will be returned better than new. From the very beginning, our work was described as meticulous, and I often told to be anal retentive.
And this is Making It Metan.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Making It Metan. We're smack dab in the middle of a series on the restoration of a vessel that you learned earlier we did a number of years ago, which came back in 2019 for a complete refit after taking some major damage from a nasty October storm. That boat we've gotten to know is JB, a 1973 23-foot Seacraft center console. Sticking to my plan of the past episodes by not wasting the first 5 minutes of a show doing a big recap of what we did in the last episode. For that, head to our YouTube channel where you can see all the episodes of Making It Metan along with a 10-year library of different projects along the way. And of course, our Instagram page to get a peek on the projects going on right now at Metan. We left the last episode, and I love using Scotty Van Boezelstein's term of rolling into the final coating phase of the project. Well, let's just say it like it is. It's time to paint the boat. After applying an ultra-high build to the repairs, final blocking, sanding, and a lot of cleanup, the boys began preparing the surfaces for the final primer application.
Ready for final primer that we'll be using the well-known product by all Awlgrip applicators. It's called 545. It's an epoxy-based primer, fine finish primer. That's an awesome base for any of Awlgrip's urethane products. There's Joe Borrelli. We came in here, wiped it all down. Remember the Duratec high build. Came in, blocked it.
To kill two birds with one stone, we left the gunnel cap set up on top of the hull, so we can prime both parts at the same time. Scotty and Joe masked the interior and the hull bottom, along with the trailer, obviously protected from overspray. They then began, which any painter will tell you, is the single most important part of the painting process, and that is the final prep of the surfaces. The preparing of the surfaces, in fact, started prior to masking, when they washed the surfaces down with a simple solution of warm soapy water using good dish soap such as Dawn, which breaks grease down phenomenally, removing any organic material such as handprints and sweat prints.
We normally give the surfaces a double wipe down with our solvent. We'll give the surfaces a final wipe down with Awlgrip T0115, baby. That's wax and grease remover.
Awlgrip Plus takes out any potential non-organic contaminants. With the combination of these two wipe downs, it gives us the confidence that our primer coat is going to properly adhere to the surfaces.
Now Scotty Van Boezelstein is getting ready to come in, lay 3, 4, 5 coats, our final primer base. It's in our 3M EPS system. That's our new system. Bigger holes, more assorted tips. We're really liking that system, huh, Scotty Van Boozlestein?
A while back, we started using 3M's new Active Spray paint gun system to apply 545. Well, it's really not that new. It's been around for a while. However, they just made a number of upgrades to the design and function of the gun. The coolest part of the gun has been the interchangeable spray nozzles, which now range from 1.1 up to 2.0. I don't suggest most to jump right to a 1.8 tip with 545. However, we just giddy it up, making sure we move right along, because there's no time for any runs and sags. This is our final base to our paint job.
What we do is come in and we spot prime all of our high build spot prime spots. Almost like putting a little safety coat. Almost like another final little skim of Farron. We put 4 or 5 coats on top of that, lock it, and you'll have yourself a great surface.
Something should be said about experience. When someone is able to lay primer down,
That's flat. That's finished paint. We want to spread this primer out like it's paint. So when we're sanding, we take off as little product as needed, leaving the surface nice and flat, the perfect base to lay the paint down on. You can see the guys go through that process when we return, so stay tuned. The men came in the following Monday morning and immediately jumped on the final sanding of the hull and the gunnel cap.
but Eric and Van Boozlestein are on the Seacraft. They're doing is knocking down the 545 Awlgrip primer, 320. They already gone around and did all their edging. A little special way that we do our edging to make sure that we get in all the nooks and all the edges. Few trade secrets.
Yeah, let's not listen to that guy. I'll fill you in on the little secret. And that is folding up a piece of Scotch-Brite pad and using that as a sanding block. However, being sure to stop ever so often and blow that piece of sandpaper off. Keeping your sandpaper clean without any buildup of dust will alleviate some of the possibility of sand scratch. The smallest of scratches will show up, especially in the dark ultra gloss finish like the finished product you will soon get to see. You heard me talk earlier about the most important part of any paint job, and that is the preparation of the surface. Another equally important aspect of the preparation is our spray area. We needed to get our larger spray area dust-free, and after months of multiple projects, it needed a good cleaning from the rafters down. Keeping our exhaust vents cranked, Joe used the pressure washer and the mist pressure to blow the dust out, which was caught in all those nooks and crannies.
When we say it's all in the prep, we're not talking about just in the part that we are painting.
Mixing with the water, it dissipates down to be washed away as we finish with giving the floor a good wash down. Taking a break for lunch and letting the area dry out a bit, we are ready to move the hull into the spray area and begin that all-important final prep so we can start to get paint on the hull. Before pulling the boat in, we laid down a large piece of 8mm plastic, not just to protect our floor from overspray, but it protects our paint environment from any loose particles on the floor that may be kicked up while the exhaust fans are running during the painting. Remember I said it's all in the prep, and every extra step of preparation that you take will show in the end product of your paintwork. Scotty and Joe teamed up, detailed master hull, and moved right into the final wipe down of the surfaces. Again, using Awlgrip's All Prep Plus. Using the double wipe method where one guy follows the other, wiping down the surface with one rag that is dampened in All Prep and the other dry. Wiping the previously dampened surface, removing most of the contaminants left over from the first soap and water washdown prior to masking. Well, you would think it's time to paint, but believe it or not, there's one more step of prep to do, and that is giving the surfaces a tack wipe down. This is done literally right before we're ready to paint. In fact, we already have our paint mixed up, ready to go. We do this by using something called a tack cloth. It's a piece of cheesecloth with a slightly sticky resin. Before we use this to wipe the surfaces down, we unfold it, fluff it up a bit, then refold it. And using a very slight pressure, we wave it over the surfaces, picking up the slightest and smallest of any particles that may be left over from our final wipe down rags. Now I can assure you, at this point, our surfaces were spotless, paint is mixed, and we're ready to paint. You'll see that go down when we return. When we left to take our break, Scotty was doing the final tack wipe down and I was finishing mixing the Awlgrip base color. I went into detail in this video the night we were painting, explaining what Awlgrip product we used and how we mixed it.
It's simply dark green, nothing fancy, no jade mix green. It is just dark green. Seacraft 2000 is acrylic urethane. We'll put 3 coats of that base color, and then we'll go in there and we'll put our magic. This is a 2-to-1 mix. So I got a quart G3010 mixed with 2 quarts base color. I got quart reducer over here waiting in the wings. This is boat broke here. How much you put in is years of experience. It's not too much magic, but that'll accelerate the dry time. Some people like to put it into the base first. I'd rather put it into the base and the converters. Now the base and the converter molecules have linked the accelerated molecules before reducing it. That's what reducer is. It's going to break down the molecules. Base and the converter loss is very
As Mr. Molecule mentioned, we laid down 3 coats of dark green base color, starting with the first coat, which is called the tack coat.
Scotty's going to throw the first coat, which is a tack coat. It is also gives you the opportunity to set your gun and get your gun exactly where you want it. But since it's a tack coat, you do a couple of passes that you don't like, you can make the adjustment.
Depending on the weather and the ambient temperature that we're able to maintain in the spray area, determines the amount of time between each coat. With single-stage paint, even though we kind of make this into 2-stage paint with the application of clear coat, you need to be sure that your previous coat is properly flashed off before it can support the next coat of paint. At 70 degrees, which is the ideal temperature, the wait time is about 30 minutes between coats. With the coats of the base color applied and giving the surfaces the proper amount of time to flash off, Scotty and I went in and laid down what ended up being 4 coats of clear coat. Hey, we had enough mix for a 4th coat, so why not? This gave us the deep gloss retention that so many have become accustomed to seeing roll out of Metan. And this is why we refer to the finish as Metan glass. We also had other parts to JB and other projects lined up, prepped, ready for paint. We were not done, or even close to done, with this paint marathon. As soon as JB was completed, we continued painting for over a week, as we worked our way through the painting process of 2 restorations that were going on here at the same time. Those 2 projects were a 1985 Mako 254 and a 1979 Formula Sportsman. Both you'll see next season on Making It Metan. For now, we have to keep going on JB. The next morning, we moved the hull out of the spray area and set the gunnel cap and leaning post up for paint. I don't have any video of us mixing up the paint with all that fancy molecule talk. However, we used the same type of paint, Awlgrip 2000, in an oyster white. After going through the same wipe down prep that we did for the hull, and at this point, I'm sure you understand the wipe down process, Scotty applied 3 or 4 beautiful coats to the gunnel cap and leaning post, achieving that deep, gloss, flawless finish that we're looking for. With all this painting, you'd think we're done. However, the coolest part of the paint application is still to come. For some of which, we're going to jump back into that time machine to check it out. So see you when we return. Welcome back. Let's wrap up this episode with the completion of the paint application so we can spend the entire next episode following the assembly, the custom T-top fabrication, the installation of DC wiring system, and the rigging of JB's brand new 300 Suzuki outboard. So what other painting do we still have to do? It's the application of the non-skid. For those of you who know classic Seacrafts, you'll know about the 2-inch rib non-skid pattern on the main deck. Back into that time machine, going back to the restoration, we can look back on the process of achieving that very cool detail. Along with the rib non-skid, we incorporated something very cool into the gunnel cap, which we had to redo during the refit as well. And that was embedding the Seacraft logo into the non-skid pattern. To achieve both the rib floor and the embedded logo, we needed to apply the oyster white color to the deck liner, as you just saw Scotty do to the gunnel cap. Letting the paint cure for a few days, we began the masking process, starting in the center of the deck and working our way outwards, masking every 2 inches using 3M vinyl fine line tape. Fine line tape, or striping tape, leaves a sharp paint line with no possibility of bleed through like you would get with regular masking tape. Jumping back into our time machine to the refit, Scotty applied the final graphic and the location where we embedded the name Seacraft into the non-skid. Then detailed masked the gunnel cap and went through the same sanding and scuffing process. Having the non-skid masked along with the surrounding areas, we're now ready to begin applying the non-skid finish. Since we're using a different color non-skid, we first applied a nice wet coat of straight base color.
We'll let that tack up. Scotty will make up his magic potion.
Being sure to cover and hide the white surfaces. This coat needed to dry to touch. You absolutely do not want to start applying your paint with non-skid particles till then. I can't stress this enough, because if you apply the first coat of non-skid before the base coat is dry to touch, you'll end up with a blotchy mess that'll be impossible to recover from unless you sand the non-skid off and start all over again. So you DIY guys, remember I said that. The technique, the equipment, nozzle and tip size is very much a trade secret of ours, achieving something we refer to as Metan diamonds. As the finish truly looks like ground up diamonds with particles perfectly distributed. Just as we did in the base coat, waiting it to dry to touch, we had to do the same to remove the tape. If we remove the tape too soon, the paint should stick to the edge of the tape, drooping into the gloss finish. Removing the tape after the paint is fully cured can also be a headache, as the paint may not cut through the paint film, ruining your nice sharp edge. We took our time removing the tape and very much took our time with the Seacraft vinyl decal. Wheeling a non-skid that will last for decades to come. And yes, I can say decades with all the confidence in the world, as the video you're watching right now was recently filmed, and the non-skid you see was laid down almost 18 years ago. And look at it. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought that we redid it during the refit. But in fact, we did not. Everything you're looking at, from the gunnel wall to the deck, was completed during the original restoration. This is another testimonial of our processes and procedures we use here at Metan. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode of the painting process of JB, and yeah, those stupid molecules. Join us next time as we wrap up JB's refit and restoration. I'm Mike Borrelli. Thank you for joining us. See you on our next episode of Making It Metan.